Welcome, everyone, to the NewVision, OldWays podcast, a greatly ambitious journey of discovery where we can all learn to live better, mentally healthier, and more fulfilling lives. If you're just discovering us, feel free to go back and take the journey from the beginning. And if you're already a NewVision, OldWays fan, welcome back and enjoy season
6.
And now, here is your host, Tony Marinaccio.
You are listening to NewVision, OldWays, the podcast that explores timeless wisdom for the modern mind in a fun, relaxed, and most important, interactive way with you, the listener. I am your host, Tony Marinaccio, and let's get the episode started. Welcome, everyone, to another great episode of the NewVision, OldWays podcast. And as I have said a number of times, we have only just begun to scratch the surface of what NewVision, OldWays is all about. And as you will see as the season progresses, once again, no topics will be out of reach for us. And now that we have the Visioneer community getting stronger every day, we could tackle any subject and see what we can learn from it and how we could take that knowledge and make a better life for ourselves. If you are not part of the Visioneer community yet, and you want to stay on top of not only the podcast, but anything that relates to all of the things that we talk about and so much more, go to the newvisionoldways.com website. Hit subscribe. And I will send out a newsletter and updates every chance I can so we can all benefit from the knowledge that we are getting. I'll have a link in the show notes to subscribe as well. And it is free. I stress that it is free, but it is a two-way street though. Check out the show notes for ways to contact the show and let me know what subjects are on your mind. What's important to you? What is it that you are struggling with? Because if you are struggling with it, I absolutely guarantee there are many others feeling exactly the same way. This is a community effort, and we are all the better for it. And speaking of community, these aren't my communities, but boy, I'll tell you, they're coming in strong every week. I want to thank my listeners in places like Singapore, the Philippines, and the Netherlands. They always come in very strong on every episode. So to those of you in those areas and around the globe, what an honor it is for me to have listeners from places that I have never been, but I would love to go. And it hasn't happened yet, of course, but thank you to everyone that spends time with me every episode. And it's a thrill for me to see how this has grown, and it's exciting, humbling, and the future is looking very bright for this podcast, and it's amazing. So with all of that being said, what is on tap for today? Well, I want to dive into a concept that lies at the heart of personal evolution, our growing edges, those areas in life, the emotional, mental, physical, spiritual terrain where we still are all so tender, unrefined, and uncertain, but yet full of possibility. Today, I will explore how to identify, lean into, and nurture our growing edges, and how that will reshape our relationships with ourselves and the world that we come in contact with every day, and how it will lead to our happiness and feelings of true fulfillment. And there is absolutely no better time than right now to start working on our growing edges. So let's get started with episode 53, Growing Edges, How to Trust Your Inner Compass and Thrive Through Change.
Brutal self-awareness. You can't fix what you refuse to face. Brutal self-awareness is the habit that separates the dreamers from the doers. Most people lie to themselves daily. I'm fine. I'll start tomorrow. It's not that bad. Lies feel safe, but poison. Real growth starts when you finally call yourself out. Sit down, look in the mirror, and ask, where am I full of it? That's not self-hate, it's self-respect. Because honesty is the beginning of power. Awareness is uncomfortable because it exposes your patterns. But discomfort is the only place truth grows. Start auditing your habits, your energy, your excuses. Ask yourself why you do what you do and who you're becoming because of it. If the answer stings, good. That means it's real. Brutal self-awareness isn't about tearing yourself down. It's about refusing to stay blind. The truth might hurt, but lies destroy you slower.
Self-awareness can be brutal, but it can also be beautiful. And the willingness to see and use our growing edges is at the heart of being able to thrive in our lives. Growing edges are those places inside us where expansion meets resistance. I'll say that again. Growing edges are those places inside us where expansion meets resistance. the boundary line between who we are and who we are becoming. They can be uncomfortable. They can make us question our worth, our path, even our identity. But that is the point. These edges are the frontier of growth. They ask us not to run, but to lean in. It's like standing on a cliff between comfort and possibility. One side feels safe, familiar, and the other side, well, it's unknown. But that is where life is inviting you next. If you listen to the last show, I spoke about how to get through the winter season and the holidays without falling into depression and anxiety that happens to many of us. The ability to push through all of that and not only survive, but thrive during that time is an example of meeting your growing edges head on. You will often know that you are at a growing edge when you feel tension and friction in your life. Maybe it's the job that no longer fits for you, the relationship that unfortunately feels like it's out of sync, or the belief that used to comfort you but now feels too small and makes you feel out of step. Our edges reveal themselves in the form of repeated lessons, the same patterns, the same triggers, the same emotional themes that always ask, but rarely get an answer, are you ready to evolve? Sometimes it's subtle, a quiet discomfort, a sense of being out of alignment. Other times it presents itself in a more obvious way. Loss, a life change, conflict. Growth doesn't always whisper. It sometimes roars. Yet many times, in both cases, that growing edge that is right in front of us gets ignored. We just don't want to face it when we stick to the same routines, causing us to sink deeper in despair, when if we just met that growing edge head on and sought solutions, we would have come out the other side wiser, happier, and finding ourselves in a more fulfilling way of life. So why then is it so difficult to face our growing edges with focus, with determination, with energy? Well, in a nutshell, facing difficulties in life can be very hard. There's no denying it. But few things in life are easy and worth it in the end. It is the difficult times that truly make us who we are and who we want and need to become. I like to think that growing edges live right at the intersection of courage and transformation. Facing and acting on your growing edges takes courage. Go back to episodes 24 and 25, where I dig deep into finding that courage that we need so bad. With that courage, we could then look deeply at ourselves and listen to our inner voice, and it will tell you where your growing edges are and expose what you will need to do about them. To help identify your growing edges, we need to ask ourselves questions like this. Where in my life do I feel both fear and possibility? What am I resisting that might actually be asking to transform me? Where does my truth feel caged by old or other people's expectations? And that one right there can easily fall into the issue of groupthink and its pull on you. Check out episode 47 and it lays that out perfectly. I get it. Looking at your imperfections can be uncomfortable. But as we all know, none of us are perfect. Far from it. Understand that finding your growing edges isn't meant to embarrass you. It's meant to strengthen you. It means you have the courage to improve where others, sadly, do not. And their lives suffer for it. You can see it all the time. So finding those areas in your life that you need to improve upon are oh so important. And when we do find those edges, the next step isn't to run. It's time to lean in. That is where our inner compass comes in. The intuitive knowing that guides us when logic alone cannot. This compass doesn't always speak in words, but it is like something inside of you is helping you to realize this is the way to go. Even when it seems difficult and bumpy, trusting your inner compass requires stillness. It requires learning to separate from the noise of the world and the shoulda, coulda, and woulda syndrome. It means separating from the cultural scripts, the social media expectations, and the unrelenting groupthink. It means you need to listen to the whispers of your own soul. When you lean into your growing edges with awareness and self-trust, Growth stops feeling like chaos and starts feeling like an awakening. And that awakening must also be combined with unlearning. Yes, part of growth is unlearning many of the identities that we carry. They were handed to us by parents, teachers, culture, and our own life circumstances. They all probably had our best interest at heart, and we love them for it. But they could be costumes we have worn for so long that we completely forgot to be ourselves. Growing edges invite us to shed those false layers, to unlearn the lie that we must always fit in. We must always please and perform. It's about returning to what's true, even if it doesn't look like what the world told us to be. Remember, groupthink does not have your best interest at heart. As we shed our false layers, it can also feel like a loss, but it's really liberation. When you release identities that were never yours, you make space for authenticity. You make space for the you that was waiting underneath it all. So let's be honest, growth isn't always graceful. It can be messy, lonely, and misunderstood. Some people won't recognize the new you. And you know what? That's okay. Some will resist your evolution because it challenges their comfort zone. But remember, your job is not to shrink to keep others comfortable. It's to honor your becoming. Pain and misunderstanding are not signs that you are off track. They are often the proof that you are evolving. Like a seed that is cracking open, it looks like destruction from the outside, but it's life in motion. When you nurture your growing edges instead of fearing them, you begin to thrive in the rhythm of life's impermanence. You realize that you are not supposed to arrive at a specific destination. You are supposed to keep unfolding. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. It's being present. It's learning to dance with the change instead of bracing against it. Growth then becomes less about chasing an end state and more about staying open and flexible to being reshaped, redefined, reborn again and again. That's the paradox of the human spirit. The more we let go, the more we become. So you have identified your growing edges. Those places where life is quietly or sometimes loudly asking you to evolve. You've spotted the friction points, the repeating patterns, the subtle discomfort that tells you this is where growth lives. But awareness alone is only the first step. The real transformation begins when you act on that awareness, when you start engaging with your edges instead of avoiding them. Growth, by definition, requires motion. You can't think your way into a stronger life, and I know I'm guilty of that. You have to live your way into it. Once you've found a growing edge, the natural instinct is to retreat, to avoid the friction. But every edge is an invitation to step closer, not back. That is what I meant by leaning into it. That discomfort you feel, it's not danger, it's data. It's your inner compass saying, here lies potential. So rather than asking, how do I get rid of this feeling? Ask, what is it trying to teach me? That's very important. For example, if your edge is setting overly strict boundaries in your life with no room for flexibility, then lean in by practicing small daily moments of honesty with yourself. You can still say no without guilt, but when that particular moment arrives, stop and think, okay, can I be flexible here? I've been too rigid in the past, and look where it's gotten me. If your edge is vulnerability, lean in by sharing your truth once a day, maybe with someone you trust, or, as we have talked about a number of times, journal. This is where journaling can really help. It takes those vulnerable feelings and gets them in front of you. Seeing them and just feeling them will be two different experiences. Keeping them inside can give you anxiety, while seeing them on paper in front of you gives you the ability to see them, understand them better, and then take action. These acts don't need to be grand, they just need to be real. Because every small intentional step taken at your edge sends a powerful message to your nervous system that I can handle this, I can grow. And anchor your actions in values, not outcomes. Thriving through growth means shifting your focus from what happens to you to who you are becoming. You cannot control the outcome of whether people approve, whether the world claps for your progress, but you can control your alignment with your deeper values. You cannot control other people's opinions, but you can control being a person worth respecting. You cannot control the traffic, but you control when you leave. This is the essence of inner power, focusing on what's within your circle of influence and releasing what isn't. When you make decisions that honor your values, even when they are hard, you are building a kind of spiritual muscle, the kind that doesn't depend on applause or validation, the kind that sustains you through the unpredictable currents of life. So now, let's turn our focus to transforming friction into flow. At first, working with your growing edges will feel uncomfortable, clunky, uncertain, even exhausting. And that's normal. It's like learning a new instrument. The first notes are awkward, hard on the ears, and frustrating. But the goal isn't to eliminate friction, it's to integrate it. If you can learn to stay curious in discomfort, it begins to transform. That's where flow begins, that sweet spot where challenge and skill meet. Again, it's not about perfection, it's about presence and effort. You don't need to fix every problem. You just need to keep showing up, adjusting, listening, and refining. And over time, what once felt impossible becomes effortless, not because life got easier, but because you grew stronger. And the key here is don't chase happiness, build meaning. This is where so many people get stuck. They expect happiness to arrive the moment they grow. But happiness isn't the destination of growth, it's the byproduct. Let me say that one more time. Happiness isn't the destination of growth, it's the byproduct. Stop chasing happiness directly. Focus on meaning, growth, and contribution, and happiness will show up uninvited. When you act on your growing edges, you stop running on that hedonic treadmill, that endless loop of seeking pleasure, comfort, or external validation, leading us to seek new goals for happiness, not letting what we have already accomplished fulfill us for any real length of time. We all know someone, or you might be that someone, that cannot be happy unless they feel like they have a clear destination point in mind, the next trip before they enjoyed the current one they are on, the next get-together before this get-together is even half over. Instead, start living for the things that matter. Truth, connection, purpose, contribution. Those don't always feel like happiness in the moment. Sometimes they feel like hard work, vulnerability, or risk, but they lead to something deeper, real, honest-to-goodness fulfillment. Happiness is not the goal line we need to cross. It's what naturally follows a life lived in alignment with your values and your potential. This is why practicing, reflecting, and recommitting are so vital. True thriving comes from rhythm, not intensity. You don't have to leap, you just have to keep stepping. Each time you face a challenge at your edge, ask, and this is where the journaling really helps, what did I learn today about myself? What choice did I make that aligned with my inner compass? Where did I shrink back, and what can I do differently next time? Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without it, life just keeps repeating lessons until we learn them. So journal it, meditate on it, talk it out, then recommit to showing up again tomorrow, a little wiser and a little braver. As you begin to act consistently from your growing edges, something shifts. You stop just surviving and you start thriving. Your world doesn't necessarily change overnight. You do. You become more centered, more authentic, more in rhythm with your truth. Thriving isn't about having everything under control. It's about living in alignment where your choices, your values, and your actions begin to harmonize. You begin to move through life with quiet confidence, not because it's easy, but because you trust yourself. You stop chasing the illusion of stability and start embracing the reality of growth. You stop demanding that life be comfortable and start demanding that life be meaningful. There's a big difference. You stop letting the Antifa-inspired groupthink intimidate you into following or else. And that's the shift. The moment you move from knowing your edges to living and learning from them. And it's not about fixing yourself per se. It's about expanding yourself. It's about becoming the person that you can hold more truth, more love, and more complexity and more peace all at once. So when you find your growing edges, act. Act in small, conscious, courageous ways every single day. Act with humility when you fall and curiosity when you rise. Because thriving isn't about escaping the discomfort. It's about mastering the art of dancing with it. And when you do, you'll find that life doesn't just get easier. You get deeper, more authentic, more grounded, and more free. And in that freedom, happiness quietly arrives. Not as a guest you've chased, but as a companion you've been walking beside all along. And always remember, your growing edges are not weaknesses. They are invitations. They are the living proof that you are still becoming, still alive, still evolving towards the real you. There is nothing wrong with being a work in progress because the journey is honestly the best part. The road you will be on will take you places you never thought you'd go. You will experience things you never thought you would, but you have to be willing to face your growing edges head on, take action, and live that life that you always have dreamed of. So we've reached the time in the show where I'd love to find out what you think about this episode and any of the episodes that we have done. And here's how to get a hold of the show and let us know. These are in the show notes, but as always, here they are. There is a new link that you can click on that will allow you to donate to the show and show your support. By donating what you can, it will allow me to book guests and cover costs. Anything will help. Cancel anytime. You can find it in the show notes, but you can also find it on that NewVision OldWays.com website. And you can also message the show from each episode on your various platforms. Just look for the send us a text message link. And if that doesn't work for you, you can email us at newvisionoldways@gmail.com. And you can find us on what was Twitter, now X, at NewVision Old Way. No S on that one. At NewVision Old Way. And you can check out the NewVision Old Ways YouTube channel. Just type in NewVision, one word, Old Ways, one word, and please subscribe. It is free and will show support for the show. It really means a lot and will help grow the show on YouTube. And we will be getting in some video shorts, hopefully sometime in the near future here. So look for that as well. And you can find us on Facebook, NewVision Old Ways Podcast, and you should easily find us. And as a reminder, these are growing platforms for us and expanding all of the time. So we need your help to get the flow going with the community. And again, be sure to sign up for the newsletter by hitting the subscribe link in the website. And last but not least, if you could do me a huge favor and subscribe to us, like us, follow us, leave a review on whatever platform you found us on, that would be so appreciated. That will also help secure guests that we will be booking in the future. So welcome to season 6. And I have still a lot to cover this season. So thank you for listening. I can't wait to get your input. I also cannot wait until we get together for the next episode of New Vision, Old Ways. Until then, stay true to yourself, stay informed, and stay empowered.
But the most important thing is,
This episode and all the episodes of New Vision Old Ways podcast have been written, engineered, and produced by Tony Marinaccio and TKM Productions.